Drilon. Senator Drilon, welcome to the show and maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Good morning, Pinky, and thank you for having me in your program.
Let me start with this. I wanted to get your overall assessment of the President's fifth State of the Nation address. Were you satisfied with what you heard?
I have been hearing SONAs for the last several years, and this is the first SONA where I am the introduction and I was the conclusion. Because the president said that I am the defender of the oligarchs, particularly the Lopez's, because of my position that I took on the ABS-CBN franchise debate. Pinky, I took a position that we should renew the franchise because the issue was freedom of speech. The Lopez's were not the issue. If they are, it was only incidental. I admit the Lopez's are familiar to me. They are my friends because we come from the same province, but I have not asked for any favor from them which can tarnish or which can be cited as the reason why I favored the renewal of the franchise of ABS-CBN. It was because I wanted, because of my view that a free press is critical to the strengthening of our democracy in our country. So for that reason, I took the position that ABS-CBN should be allowed to continue to broadcast as we have done in the past in the other franchises, especially at this time when our people would need information insofar as the COVID pandemic is concerned. And admittedly, ABS-CBN has a wide reach in our country and people needed information. And finally, we had 11,000 employees in ABS-CBN. To close ABS-CBN at this time of the pandemic was certainly not, for me, not correct. And we have done it in the past. In the cases where the franchises expired while we were debating in the Senate, we allowed the media outlet to continue until the end of that Congress. That kind of a standard was not applied for ABS-CBN. So it is for that reason that I took the position. Yes.
And for the record, sir, there were a number of you in the Senate who've actually expressed their support to the franchise renewal of ABS-CBN. Is that not true?
Again, I'm sorry, Pinky, I couldn't get you clearly. Yeah, can you repeat, please?
Hindi lang po kayo, Senator, hindi lang po kayo ang nagpahayag ng suporta sa franchise renewal ng ABS-CBN sa Senado, hindi ho ba?
Marami po kami. Sa katunayan, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, may 13 senador ang pumirma ng isang resolution na nananawagan na dapat i-renew ang prangkisa ng ABS-CBN.
All right. I needed to ask you this, though. Senator, nagulat ho ba kayo? Were you surprised that within the first 3 minutes of the President's speech, your name was already mentioned?
I was surprised, Pinky. I did not expect it. But I stand for what I believe is necessary. I believe that the franchise should not have been terminated. ABS-CBN should have been allowed to continue broadcasting, especially at this time of the pandemic. And there are precedents in the past where we allowed the media outlet to continue broadcasting while the application for renewal is pending.
So basically, sir, you're saying that you were not defending the Lopez's, and what you're saying is you're defending press freedom.
Yes, that's correct. The Lopez's are incidental to the bigger issue of press freedom. And because...
All right, I needed to ask you this. Go ahead, sir.
ABS-CBN was not given a similar treatment as on the other franchises that came before us for renewal.
And you mentioned earlier, Senator, na umpisa ho kayo at dulo din po kayo ng speech ni Pangulo. At the last part, towards the end of his speech, he said, "I'd like to ask Drilon, were you part of ACCRA when this contract of Ayala Water was being drafted?" So this is another issue, sir. Just for the record, Senator Drilon, what was your position in ACCRA, and when did you retire from ACCRA, sir?
First of all, thinking on the grave of my parents, I swear that I had nothing to do with that contract. Not even a period or a comma. Up to this point when I am talking to you, Pinky, I have not seen a copy of that contract. It was signed by the government during the time of President Ramos. I think I was already in the Senate when that was signed. So I had nothing to do with that. And as I said, I can swear by the graves of my parents, I had nothing to do whatsoever with that contract. I had no participation whatsoever, not a single comma, not a single period did I participate in the execution of that agreement.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, sir, this was signed sometime in 1997. This deal was inked sometime in 1997. If I were to look back, sir, you were a senator in 1995, I believe. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct. I don't even know when the contract was signed. You're saying 1997, I take your word for it. But in 1987, I was already in the Senate and I had nothing to do with the contract. I long retired from ACCRA by this time.
Yeah. So when did you retire from ACCRA, sir?
When I joined the cabinet in 1986, August, I left the firm and had not gone back there, except when I was out of the Senate for 3 years from 2007 to 2010. Yes, I
see.
I was there as a off counsel.
Okay, so in 3 years, in 2007 and 2010, you went back as counsel in ACCRA. Would you know, Senator, because you're saying that you swear on your parents' grave that you had nothing to do with this deal, would you know who in ACCRA was part of this deal?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know who did it. I do not even know. Well, okay, I was informed that ACCRA was not the lawyer for any of the water concessionaires, neither Ayala nor Maynilad. But ACCRA was the advisor of the World Bank, not of the water concessionaires. And I repeat, I do not know what in terms of the agreement is. So I had nothing to do with it.
Okay, so with this discussion, Senator Drilon also, is that the president said in these words, sir, not exactly, and why, bakit kasi ikaw lang ang galit, dynasty, you are a hypocrite. You can't pass an anti-dynasty law. Ikaw nandyan sa Kongreso, ikaw muna dito. Again, Senator, I wanted to ask you, have you filed an anti-dynasty law, or have you filed anything banning dynasties, sir, in the previous Congress or even now?
First, I'm checking my record as in the previous Congresses, but what I can tell you is that I was already voting for the anti-dynasty bills which were presented before. And the last bill I filed on this was in July of 2016. Within the first week of July of 2016, I filed the Senate bill which prohibited dynasties and consistent with the mandate of the Constitution for Congress to pass an anti-dynasty law. And I was asked about this in media. Or was I referring to the president's children? I said no. The president, in my mind, has enough reason to rise above all of this. He is the president, and he has the capacity to rise all of these issues and push for implementation of the constitutional mandate that Congress should pass an anti-dynasty law.
So in 2016, that would be the 17th Congress. Senator Drilon, you already filed a bill against this.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you, Pinky. Hello? Hello,
Sorry,
yes?
sir. I was saying that in 2016, which is the 17th Congress, Senator, basically you're saying that you already filed a bill prohibiting dynasties.
That's correct. In July of 2016, I already filed a bill. Previous to that, I am checking my records if I filed a similar bill. What I am certain is before 1995, I was already supporting the anti-dynasty bills in Congress. And Pinky, for the record, I do not have a single relative in politics, even in Iloilo. Wala po akong kamag-anak na nasa politika.
No cousins, no in-laws, walang ganon, sir.
None of whatsoever. I have no
All
in-laws
right, okay.
unless I do not know my in-laws. But no, I'm just kidding. I have no relative.
Senator,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you one more question about this. Why do you think you were singled out in yesterday's State of the Nation address?
I'm sorry? Why?
Why do you think you were singled out in yesterday's State of the Nation address, sir?
I do not know, Pinky, why I was singled out. Probably the president erroneously thought that I was after his family, but the matter, and that is because of my position on political dynasties, but that position that I have on political dynasties was already there even before he became president, because that is my belief that indeed the dynasty of would not be good for our system of democracy.
So were you, Senator Drilon, were you after the president's children?
Sorry? Was I what?
Were you after the president's children, sir? Because when we
No.
talk in relation to political dynasty, sir?
Not at all. As I said, I have filed the anti-dynasty bill even before the children got elected into public office. I have voted for the anti-dynasty bill. So they have nothing to do in my equation for this.